What's up, everyone? This is the moment that we've been dreaming of for a long time.
It's real.
All right, you ready?
Ryu and Luke?
No way.
Street Fighter 6.
Wow. Street Fighter 6 has been officially announced. They gave us a trailer, and I'm going to give you all my thoughts about Street Fighter and how much I love these games, and I play them a lot. Let's talk more about the trailer here. So the trailer was only cinematic. It was only a movie. There was no actual gameplay, so we still don't know what the game is going to look like. But something really important here is they did actually show two characters that are going to be in the game. Ryu and Luke. So those are the first two characters we know will be in Street Fighter 6. Moving forward, the next trailers that they show us are going to have more characters that will be in the game. So keep an eye out, keep a lookout for more characters that are going to be announced in the new Street Fighter game. Let me know, guys, what characters do you want to see in the next Street Fighter game? And what characters don't you want to see? What characters from Street Fighter 5 do you not want to see come back? And what characters that didn't get into Street Fighter 5 do you want to see in the next game? There was a lot of crazy characters in Street Fighter 4 that didn't come back to Street Fighter 5. Let me know, guys, what characters do you want to see released in the next Street Fighter game? People are always hoping for their favorite character to be the next one added into Street Fighter 5. So maybe you guys are used to Smash Bros, but for me, when they announce a new character in Street Fighter, it's a big deal. Yes, we're finally getting that feeling again of so many new characters coming out. What characters are you going to be excited to see? What characters do you think are going to get redesigned? What characters that we haven't seen in a while are coming back? Seriously, guys, what are your thoughts? Tell me, what characters do you want to see come back? What characters do you want to see redesigned? Yeah, so that is a great feeling when a new character is announced, or even hoping for your favorite character to be in the game. I love speculating on what the next character is going to be. That's always the best part, is just wondering who's going to be next. So seriously, guys, we got to keep our eye out for the next trailers of Street Fighter 6 to see who's going to be in the game next. I'm so excited for this new game's release. Tell me if you were surprised that they actually announced the new Street Fighter game. A lot of people thought that it could have been a new Resident Evil game. We're so used to, being teased that we didn't actually believe it. Street Fighter 6, this is something we couldn't even imagine. But alright, let me talk a little bit about the trailer. Here's some of the stuff I want to point out. They were talking about how important of a character that this new guy, Luke, who was just released into Street Fighter 5, he's supposed to play a big role into the next game, Street Fighter 6. So you can already see that he's in this trailer. Another thing I want to mention is Ryu. Ryu is actually using his redesign that they started in Street Fighter 5. So that already shows you that some stuff from Street Fighter 5 is actually being brought over to the next game. But I feel like that there is a heavy redesign. Like, even the way that Ryu looks is new and different. And Luke especially. Let's talk about Luke again. He looks completely different from how we know him in Street Fighter 5. Like, his haircut was different. His clothes were different. Something else I want to point out is his clothes. Luke actually has the number 5, or the V for Street Fighter 5, and V trigger and V skill and everything. He still has it on his clothes. And that's something that I always thought in Street Fighter 5, that if this character is going to be in Street Fighter 6, he's got all these V's from Street Fighter 5 all over his clothes. So yeah, we didn't see Ryu and Ken in this game. I mean, I'm assuming that Street Fighter 4 probably was announced with Ryu and Ken. I know that Street Fighter 5 was announced with Ryu and Chun-Li, but this game they started with Ryu and Luke. But this is something that we've kind of been expecting, that Luke was going to be a big character in Street Fighter 6. But seriously, everyone, I think I tell people this all the time. I really recommend Street Fighter 5. I wish everybody got into this game. I think that Street Fighter 5 had an interesting cast of characters. I think it was a good contrast to Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 5 really did introduce a lot of new characters, and they really are a different style from everything that you might expect. And already with characters like Luke, I think I like the style that they're gonna go in for Street Fighter 6. It looks like the characters are a lot more bright. So with this last season pass that came out in Street Fighter, it introduced Oro, Luke, Rose, Akira. It introduced a lot of cool characters to Street Fighter V, but they did announce that Luke is going to be the last character in Street Fighter V, and Luke is going to have connections to Street Fighter 6. So for a while now, they've been telling us that, you know, Street Fighter V is going to start to calm down, and this is going to be the last season of Street Fighter V. That's okay, because we've been playing this final season for a while now, so enough time has passed by that we've been playing this game for a long time. Of course, we all love it. Some hate it, but we've been playing this game for a long time. We've been expecting a new game to happen. So with this new trailer, it doesn't actually say what consoles or what systems the new game will be on. I'm assuming it has to be on PlayStation and PC, but I think everybody's hoping for an Xbox release. Even a Nintendo Switch release would be awesome. I'm still hoping for Ultra Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5 to be released onto Nintendo Switch. A memory I have is when Street Fighter V got announced. Street Fighter V was a PlayStation and PC exclusive, when Street Fighter 4 before it was actually most popular on the Xbox systems. So that basically cemented it that I was such a big Street Fighter fan that I had to get a PlayStation or a PC just to be able to play the Street Fighter series. So it was no question, I had to. It'll be crazy to see what changes they give the characters in the next game. Let me know, guys, what are some changes that you want to see made to your favorite character? What is your dream move set for your favorite characters? Maybe there's some moves in the old games that weren't in Street Fighter V. What are some moves that you want to see come back into Street Fighter 6? What are some moves that you want them to change in Street Fighter 6? Let me know, guys. How do you think they're going to change your character in Street Fighter 6? What do you think would be a bad change? What do you think that if they change this about the character, it would be bad? But what are some of your ideas? What are some crazy moves that they can give to your character in the next game? You know what else is sad? Who thinks that their character isn't going to come back? Who thinks that their character isn't coming back in the next game? Like, we got Blanca-chan here. I hope Blanca-chan is in the next Street Fighter game. While I talk about Street Fighter, I'm going to be showing you some games that we had recently. So we have Blanca versus Ken right now, and this match is insane. It's a 1st to 10, so this match is insane. The underdog here is Blanca, but you know we are the best Blanca, where our team of Blancas is actually fighting against a really good Ken player. They have a lot of points, but we were actually able to play really good. This is a really good game, and we dominate this match. You guys have to check this out. So the Ken player actually has more points than our Blanca here, but our Blanca is just a beast. That's all I'm gonna say. So there's a lot I could say about this match, but we have the match playing so you guys can see every moment. I love watching pro Street Fighter and Street Fighter tournaments. I've been involved in going to local tournaments and big tournaments for a long time, just for the love of the game. And we play a lot on my Twitch stream, and we actually meet a lot of awesome players on Twitch, and we meet a lot of friends that way, and we learn a lot, and it's awesome to play together. So if you guys love fighting game, please give me a follow here. Check me out on twitch.tv/Gocarlo. I'm also on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, and we have a Discord server. So please, guys, add me as a friend. We play all fighting games. Let me know what your favorite fighting game is, and tell me, are you excited for Street Fighter 6? It's gonna be epic. But I just wanted to give you some of my Street Fighter memories and talk a little bit about Street Fighter 6 because it just got announced. So I had to give you some of the thoughts that are on my mind, and this is some of the stuff that everybody's thinking about, I guess. Don't forget, let me know what your favorite Street Fighter games are, everyone. Let me know who your favorite Street Fighter characters are. What are your memories with Street Fighter? What were the first Street Fighter games that you ever played, and what are your favorites? Man, I have too many stories to even talk about with Street Fighter 5. Seriously, guys, a big part of why I even have this channel is because of all my Street Fighter memories and fighting game memories. So I have so many memories that I need to make its own video for. I have so many fighting game memories and Street Fighter stories that need their own video. So we'll definitely talk about that We've been playing Street Fighter 5 for so long. We've been playing all the Street Fighter games for so long. We couldn't imagine. It's crazy to think that we're living in the future, guys. Street Fighter 6 is finally announced. It's on the way. Should I be surprised though? They announced GTA 6. We never thought that we would see GTA 6. They announced Grand Theft Auto 6. They announced Street Fighter 6. Guys, this is crazy. We're in the future. I really hope that everybody gives Street Fighter 6 a chance. It's going to be crazy to see what everybody's opinion is on the game when it comes out. I'm hoping that a lot of my friends stick with it. It is sad to see Street Fighter 5 come to a close when we've put so much work into this game. We really cared a lot about Street Fighter 5, that we're still working on our skills to this day, and we've been playing it for a long time now. This is the game that me and my friends have taken so seriously for so long. It's not even funny. Me and all my friends compete in this game amongst each other like you wouldn't believe. The rivalries and all the memories we've had on this game. And it's a game that we'll definitely come back to. Hopefully a lot of stuff that we've worked on in Street Fighter 5 actually comes back in Street Fighter 6. If you compare every Street Fighter game together, each one is actually really different from each other. We've become so used to the mechanics of Street Fighter 5. I would assume that maybe a lot of the mechanics like V-Trigger and V-Skill might move forward into the next game. A lot of people want to see mechanics from Street Fighter 4 maybe cross over into the new Street Fighter game, Street Fighter 6. Not to go too in depth with all the different mechanics of all the different Street Fighter games, but Street Fighter 4 had a lot of different stuff like an ultra meter and a super meter, and instead of the V skill you had a focus attack. So maybe we'll see some of the mechanics from old Street Fighter games. Maybe we'll see them get mixed in with mechanics from new Street Fighter games. I'd love to see a crossover between some of the Street Fighter 5 mechanics and the Street Fighter 4 mechanics. But there's a lot of stuff in other fighting games that they could implement. They do make a lot of interesting characters no matter what fighting game you're playing, so I do think that there'll be a lot of interesting characters that utilize a lot of different stuff. Some people might want the game to play more like Third Strike. Maybe they'll add parries, different supers. But of course, they gotta add new gameplay mechanics. It's gonna be crazy to see what kind of new stuff that they add to the gameplay. So let's talk about it. Let's go all the way back to Street Fighter 4. Going from Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5, I guess what caught a lot of people's eyes was the characters that weren't in Street Fighter 4 that would be in Street Fighter 5, like R. Mika, Karin Kanzuki, just to name a few, Birdie. Those are some of the Season 1 characters that it really caught people's eye in Season 1 of Street Fighter 5. But something I want to mention is, let's say Street Fighter 4 was the first 3D Street Fighter game. Not that it's 3D, but the graphics were. So it was fresh to see characters that have only been in 2D style games like Third Strike and the Alpha series and Street Fighter 2 to be brought into 3D graphics. So Street Fighter 5 had people interested because it had more characters that weren't in the last game, that weren't in Street Fighter 4, that were finally being brought into 3D. So now that Street Fighter 5 has been out for a while, a lot more characters, even like, let's say the new season, Oro. Oro was never in 3D before, and now he's back. But they even went crazier, and they made characters from Project, rival schools, like Akira, a character in Street Fighter. And they did not just characters that have never been brought back before, but let's say Rose. Rose was really popular from Street Fighter 4, so they brought her back to Street Fighter 5. But there was characters that were in Street Fighter 4 that were never brought back to Street Fighter 5, like C. Viper and El Fuerte and Rufus. Something interesting is a lot of characters that were new in Street Fighter 4 didn't actually return to Street Fighter 5. Characters like C. Viper, El Fuerte, Abel, those were some of the favorite characters that never came back to Street Fighter 5. But another character off the top of my head, Seth. Seth actually did return, and he was the main final boss character from Street Fighter 4. So they do reference Street Fighter 4 because that is a really important game and a really popular game to the Street Fighter series. It'll be interesting to see in Street Fighter 6 what characters return that were brand new to Street Fighter 5, and maybe what characters don't return from Street Fighter 5. So off the top of my head, characters like Rashid. I think Rashid is a fan favorite, or maybe people hate him. But that's a character that I actually like Rashid as a character, so I think for the story he should return. What are some other characters? Laura. Laura is a character that, yeah, it's annoying to play against her. She's definitely hated, but she's so good. I think people want to see her come back. But there was a lot of characters that people loved from the old school games that were in Street Fighter 4 that didn't come back to Street Fighter 5. A popular character off the top of my head that was in Street Fighter Third Strike, returned in Street Fighter 4, but was not in Street Fighter 5, was Dudley the Boxer. A lot of people have been asking, a lot of people have been hoping for Dudley that he would return in Street Fighter 5, but Dudley never got released in Street Fighter 5. Dudley is not in this game. So in the next game, hopefully Dudley returns. Let me know, guys, what characters do you want to see in the next Street Fighter game, and what characters don't you want to see? What characters from Street Fighter 5 do you not want to see come back? And what characters that didn't get into Street Fighter 5 do you want to see in the next game? So I was saying Dudley, but there's so many more. One of my picks that I always loved this character, Goken. Goken was not in Street Fighter 5. There was a lot of crazy characters in Street Fighter 4 that didn't come back to Street Fighter 5. Goken, Oni, so crazy. They turned evil Ryu into Kage. Some characters did actually change from Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5. Like, they turned evil Ryu into Kage, and Seth actually changed. A few characters actually changed in design. Even characters that have been in more than one game actually had a lot of gameplay changes. Like Poison, who was in Street Fighter 4 Ultra at the end. When Poison came out in Street Fighter 5, they actually were really different, but that was just one character off the top of my head. Ken is another character who's, I want to say basic in a lot of the games, but in this game, they really made him a little more interesting. Alright guys, so when it comes to Street Fighter, the current game is Street Fighter 5. And we've been playing this since 2015, so it's been out for at least 6 years now. And they don't make Street Fighter games that often. They only make Street Fighter games once every few years. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of Street Fighter, guys. The last Street Fighter game, Street Fighter 4, had many different versions. There was Street Fighter 4, then there was Super Street Fighter 4, then there was Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, and then Ultra Street Fighter 4. So throughout all those games, Street Fighter 4 actually lasted a long time. I want to say it lasted close to 8 years. And that game was on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Eventually it went on to the PS4, Xbox One. Actually, it's not, technically it is, but it isn't on Xbox One. But it is on PS4 and it is on PC, so that's where people play it nowadays. And another memory of mine is I remember when Street Fighter 5 first got announced. So you can imagine Street Fighter 4, that was a long time ago. That was a different era. There was no games like Dragon Ball FighterZ. Street Fighter was, I want to say, the most popular fighting game. Nowadays, there's a lot of fans of other fighting games. You have a lot more fighting games out there like Guilty Gear. You have fans of Tekken, fans of Dragon Ball FighterZ. Too many fighting games to name, but I feel like at the time Street Fighter was the most popular fighting game during the era of Street Fighter 4. I've always been into fighting games because I've been playing this. This game has been out since before Dragon Ball FighterZ was out. This game has actually been the longest running fighting game currently. Out of all the modern fighting games, this one has actually been out the longest. And that's usually how Street Fighter games are. Street Fighter games are usually one of the main fighting games out there. They're usually some of the most popular fighting games. Not to downplay other series, but some series actually come out with sequels more often than the Street Fighter series. Like, if you look at the history, there's been a lot of, while Street Fighter 5 has been out, there's been multiple Guilty Gear games, multiple Blaze Blue games, especially multiple Injustice and Mortal Kombat games released, all while Street Fighter 5 developed. And even during the last game, Ultra Street Fighter and Street Fighter 4, there were so many games that were released during the lifespan of Street Fighter 4. Too many to name. And it goes the same for Street Fighter 5. So many games were released in the lifespan Street Fighter 5, while people stuck to Street Fighter 5. And yeah, people played Street Fighter 5 and also checked out other games, but it shows you that Street Fighter was a good game to stick with because it was going to be around for a long time. But yeah, Street Fighter is really what taught me a lot about fighting games. When I started playing other fighting games, there was a lot of stuff that I have to get used to when I play other games, because Street Fighter is a certain kind of game that every game has its own thing. Every game has its own thing, so you have to get used to what other games throw at you. So if you're used to other games, you're gonna have to get used to this one. But I love Street Fighter, especially the characters. And remember, there's so many Street Fighter games, even going back to the arcade. But even when I went to tournaments for this game, I remember in the beginning, I felt like I was a noob, so I was too afraid to actually enter tournaments. But over time, we learned a lot. We've had a lot of journeys in this game and every fighting game I've played. Eventually, things kind of calmed down for this game. Sometimes it could be hard to find a tournament, but now with a lot of the tournaments being online, it's a lot easier to find tournaments and get involved. I did travel to a lot of tournaments. I've been to Next Level Battle Circuit a lot of times and so many more tournaments. So I have played against a lot of good players. I have a lot of experience in this game, but it wasn't always easy, guys. It really has taken me years of practice, guys. So I am proud to say, like, at least that was my goal. I knew that, okay, by the end of Street Fighter 5, I'll know what I'm doing. But yeah, guys, it wasn't always easy, especially when more games came out. It wasn't easy to find people to play Street Fighter with always, or to find a tournament for Street Fighter. Because when new games come out, people actually try out the new games, so they won't be playing the old Street Fighter sometimes, or they'll take a break. So before I started playing other games like Dragon Ball FighterZ and whatever the new game was, literally I would always be like, but where's Street Fighter? I would show up to a tournament and say, but who likes Street Fighter? And people would probably be better than me, but you know, they're just more interested in the new game at the time. But since Street Fighter's been out for so long, people always come back around. Not to talk about other games for too long, but even games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, since the game was new, people didn't know like how long the game would last for, if the game would be dead and people would stop playing it. Even Street Fighter 5, like, people didn't know like if people were going to play the game forever. People didn't know what to expect. A lot of people didn't expect to be playing Street Fighter 5 for as long as we've been playing it. But yeah, people definitely didn't know what to expect with the current Street Fighter game, Street Fighter 5. People definitely didn't expect to be playing it for as long as we've been playing it. So over time, people didn't know, like, okay, is this the last season? When's the next season coming? That's something about this game, that every season, there's always been a lot of hype for the new characters that would come out. People have always been hoping for their new character. Street Fighter 5 is a game that, when it comes to Street Fighter, something I want to say is I always started on a controller. With Street Fighter, some people started playing this game in the arcades. But with Street Fighter 4, they finally came out with online, so I'm a part of the online era. But I definitely did travel to arcades and so much stuff for in-person tournaments. But with Street Fighter, I did actually go from a controller to an arcade stick. So for years now on Street Fighter, I've been using an arcade fight stick with the joystick and the buttons, the Japanese style. A lot of players in Street Fighter 4 mainly used arcade stick, but in Street Fighter 5 a lot more people started using controllers. A lot of the best players were on controllers, but a lot of players, like Japanese players, used arcade stick. But there's a lot more options nowadays. Now there's even hitbox controllers that use all buttons instead of joysticks, like the fight sticks, arcade sticks. But I've always been more comfortable on the arcade stick for doing certain combos and certain things in the game. So it'll be crazy to see how Street Fighter 6 feels. In Street Fighter, I always use an arcade stick, but other games, I would use an arcade stick, and eventually I would switch to a controller, because I would see what other people are using, and sometimes it would make the game easier to play if I didn't use an arcade stick, and if I used a controller. If I didn't use an arcade stick and I used a controller, it would actually make the game easier for me to play, so I would do better. But Street Fighter is a game that no matter what, I could just never stop using the arcade stick. Man, when it comes to Street Fighter 5, there was so many games. When it comes to Street Fighter 5, there were so many characters that tormented me, man. From the beginning, the Kali, and then Armika, Urien, Blanca. A lot of people complain about Cammy and Karine and Guile. Even going back to Ultra Street Fighter 4, you know what character always gave me trouble? Just straight up Ryu. Evil Ryu. Rufus gives me trouble in Street Fighter 4. I actually thought, even though I played the hell out of Street Fighter 5, even though I played so much Street Fighter 5 and I couldn't stop playing it, I enjoyed the stages in Street Fighter 4 more, especially in the beginning. A lot of people complained about Season 1 of Street Fighter 5, that it didn't have enough characters. A lot of people complained it didn't have a single player mode, a single player. So that's something to look out for in Street Fighter 6. Is early on, you know, it's not going to have as many characters as Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. Because the game is brand new. It's not going to have as many stages. But you know what? Capcom has to be ready. They've had to learn from their mistakes. So I'm confident that, you know, Street Fighter 6 is probably going to have a cool story mode from the day it's released. Because that was one of the biggest complaints with Street Fighter 6 or Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 6 is probably going to have a good amount of characters at release. Because that's something that, you know, you don't want to have too few characters in your game, especially compared to, you know, the games that are already out. You really want to make it exciting for everybody to jump into. But yeah, that's some of the stuff to think about, is maybe the new game won't have as much content as these games already have, but everybody's going to be excited for it. So yeah, that's kind of been the argument, is like, why would they release a Street Fighter 6 when this game is so developed? If they make a Street Fighter 6, there's no way it can be as good as the game that's already out. So I think that they've been waiting. They have something awesome for us. There's no way that this will just be a little release. This is going to be huge. But guys, that was some of my thoughts on Street Fighter 6. I talked a lot of my history. I talked a lot about my history coming from the Street Fighter 4 games, even to when Street Fighter 5 first got released, and now we're looking forward to Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 5 is still going to be the game for a while, so we're going to be playing that for a while, and a lot more people are going to be getting into it because they're going to play Street Fighter 6 when it comes out, so they got to check out the newest game before that. But I want to thank you and everyone who made it this far into the video. I have a lot of thoughts when it comes to Street Fighter 5, but for the rest of the video, we have 5 minutes left. I'm gonna leave the next few matches just straight up without me talking over it, because I want to have some of the matches for us to look back on. The rest of this video is going to be the end of these matches, this 1st to 10 between Blanca and Ken. Thank you so much everyone for watching this. I'm happy that in this video I was able to talk a lot about the new Street Fighter 6 announcement and what I think about the future of the Street Fighter games, and hopefully you guys learned a little bit about the history of past Street Fighter games. But thank you so much everyone. Don't forget, I live stream on Twitch and TikTok. I make YouTube videos. Give me a follow, write a comment, and leave a like on this video, and let me know, what did you think of the matches? Do you hate Blanca? We love Blanca.
Fight!
But seriously, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much, everyone. Check out all my videos on my channel. Don't forget, I live stream on TikTok and Twitch. Join the Discord server. Leave a like, write a comment, and subscribe. I have so much on the way, guys. Peace out, guys. Until next time, thank you so much. I'll see you in Street Fighter 6. More videos on the way. The games here were epic. Blanca won the first to 10, but Blanca beat Ken.